morning, folks. John G. here. For today, I'm going to go ahead and make this as quick as I can because I don't have a lot of time. So, today I'm going to discuss the initial order of origin, to which it includes magnetism, and explain a little bit about furthering the 4 fundamental forces of nature into possibly 7 fundamental forces of nature. So, I'll go ahead and read this. I know it's boring, but if you listen to me, it might be interesting. The 4 fundamental forces of nature are, in the order of gravitational force, weak nuclear force, strong nuclear force, electromagnetic force. This theoretical approach implies gravitational force is generated before the following 3 fundamental forces, and that electromagnetic force is the latter. What is it that generates gravitational force if mass alone does not produce? Imagine the universe is, quote-unquote, the nothing. From the nothing, something must come. If nothing exists, no one thing produces heat. An environment possessing no heat possesses no variant temperature and produces no wind pressure. No wind pressure means the cosmos is stagnant. To reach this state of stagnant cosmos, the temperature must be constant and held at 0 Kelvin. Therefore, 0 Kelvin represents the cosmological constant. If temperature does not exist, wind pressure is not present, then what draws matter to itself? We'll go on to magnetism as my prime example. Against the blank cosmological canvas, the notional embryonic fluid possesses a plethora of single elements of matter scattered about and filling space with dust, gas, and particles. At 0 Kelvin, the cosmos is void of energy output. Some dust particles are neutral, while others possess positive and negative charges. In a stagnant environment with no wind pressure, an environment void of motion, these magnetic elements interact. It is from the interaction of these dust particles of neutral, positive, and negative charges that motion is born from potential energy. These neutral, positive, and negative dust particles will be referred to as the Trinity Elements. No one single cosmological coordinate is the same. An infinite number of the Trinity Elements exist with an ever-changing variance and elemental balance. The elemental trinity determines the outcome of a converged motion of attraction. The given balance of a specific zone of elemental trinity creates a specific species of celestial object. The imbalance of particles comprising an elemental trinity cause the specific species of celestial object to spin or rotate. Moving down to my next paragraph, page 6. The spin of a specific species of celestial object is generated through the inertial impact caused by magnetic attraction. As the elements of the Trinity move toward each other and bond, they clump. Trinity elements cling together by magnetic attraction and the interlocking action of their particulate fimbriae. Can magnetism be the hidden property of the Higgs boson, that is, the God particle? The first appearance of a Trinity clump may be similar to dust bunnies. As more matter is attracted and connected, it begins to compress. No single elemental Trinity clump is like any other. No single elemental Trinity clump is perfectly round. As particles clash and bond, their inertial energy of motion caused by the magnetic properties and attraction of interacting with other particles force a central rotational behavior. The central rotational behavior generates gravitational force. Gravitational force is the motion of creating a vacuum in space. How does a vacuum in space result in gravity? the imbalanced rotational species of celestial object is spinning. The irregular shape of the celestial object forms into a fan. The notional cosmological embryonic fluid completely surrounds the celestial object like the Earth's atmosphere surrounds our bodies. As the larger extremities rotate, their forward rotation pushes and compresses the cosmological embryonic fluid out and away from the center of the celestial body. When the larger extremity passes a given point, a vacuum is created immediately following its passing. The vacuum occurs in the cavity presented by the larger extremity where pressure is weakest. As the larger extremity moves forward in its rotation, the embryonic fluid pushed away is drawn back into the cavity. The embryonic fluid transforms from a state of compression to a state of release. Centrifugal force is responsible for the outward compression of matter. Electromagnetic force is responsible for generating the fabric of space. A specific species of celestial object affected by a singular rotation is a rotating celestial body, RCB. An RCB does not possess differential rotation. Examples of an RCB are gamma ray bursts, GRBs, asteroids, meteors, comets, and elemental Trinity particles, ETPs. A solid RCB may not necessarily possess a terrestrial vortex, but will be found at the center of a universal atmospheric vortex, or UAV. The moment a rotation is born, heat is produced by the friction created between the RCB and its surrounding space. From the generation of heat, wind pressure is now born. As RCBs grow in size, so also grows their influence on the space around them. Heat, in cosmological terms, takes very little temperature variation to be effective. People may not be physically capable of detecting these ultra-minute temperature variations that have the potential to energy to move cosmologically massive objects in space. In an omnidirectional environment that poses few, if any, spatial restrictions, it takes very little effort to move large objects, relatively speaking. The last paragraph for today is, the four fundamental forces, though still relevant, do not represent a prime number in the collective establishment of the earliest forces. Therefore, to be consistent with nature, the fundamental force of nature will be in the quantity of a higher number that is also a prime number. This theory establishes a minimum of 7 fundamental forces in nature in the order of magnetic force, kinetic force, electrical force, gravitational force, weak nuclear force, strong nuclear force, and last of all, 7th, the electromagnetic force. As you can see down at the very bottom of the screen down here, is the next topic is going to be about the electromagnetic force. That concludes my coverage for today's story, and please click like and subscribe to my posts. Yeah, that's what they're called. All right, bye-bye now. I'm going to go ahead and close this out.